You're attuned to the leading edge with Scent, the pulse of cricket podcast. I'm Scent. Every week we bring you the stories, insights, and moments that drive this beautiful game. So hit the subscribe button and let's get straight into it. Welcome to the leading edge with Scent and Roundy Podcast Studio. It's another episode, another week of cricket. And yes, so what are we talking about today? Okay, cool. So we had a recent tour. South Africa went to New Zealand, and the men went to New Zealand, and the women went to New Zealand, and they played 5 T20 internationals, which is this something cool. I've on my end, this was actually quite cool. It was a great initiative. The only issue was with the matches, you just wish they actually were fuller. Like the stadiums were literally like full or packed for both genders. And obviously, we'll talk about the ODI series that recently finished. And yes, so South Africa, start with the men because there's less to talk about compared to the women. So South Africa went to New Zealand with it's not a B team, probably more a C team, and also made sense in the sense of the first team guys were actually at the World Cup. And within less than 2 weeks, the series had to start. So now New Zealand as well didn't bring their first team. There were some experienced players, like Conway. They brought back guys like Tom Latham. But obviously their captain, Satna, was there, Mitch Satna. But with South Africa, it was different. It was actually different. Maharaj was like the only main player, and he captained the side. And South Africa won the series actually 3-2. Most people will criticize the series and be like, "Well, was it worth it? Was it a worth it series since both teams didn't actually bring their main players in there?" But when you really think about it, in terms of cricket, I will never complain. If there's cricket, I won't complain. So I do know that all those guys are professionals and they're good at what they do. Guys like Gerald Coetzee, we've been talking about Gerald Coetzee for I don't know how long in South African cricket, including world cricket. Banduke Bambiza or Karate Kid. You had your Batman in the South African side, players like Olutosi Pamla having a chance. So yes, man, and obviously, the Nqobile Mokoena, So there were players that South Africans really wanted to see. Can they wear that Protea badge and bring it honor? And they did. Whether we had lost the series or lost the series, won or lost the series, I think those guys really did well. And congrats to Connor Esterhuizen for being the series leading scorer. He scored 200 runs. So again, let's give props to Wiaan Mulder. And here's a reason why I'm giving props to Wiaan Mulder. Wiaan Mulder was not meant to be in this series. He was a replacement for Ethan Bosch. And then the next thing, Jordan Herman got injured. So now Wiaan Mulder had to open the batting from game 2, 3, 4, and 5. And most people question this. And I'm one of those people. Like, I would have preferred Wiaan Mulder not to open the batting. And even when Jordan Herman got injured, they didn't bring a replacement. And you felt like there are players capable in South Africa, be it Reza Hendricks or even Rassi. And obviously he has retired. Rassi as well, stellar career. I think it would have been a really great series for him. Like, maybe might not have been had he played this series. Maybe it might not have been his last series, but it would have been a good one. But other than that, as I am saying, Wiaan Mulder, for me, he did the job and He's opened the batting for the Lions before. He's opened the batting in the SA20. In the last AC20, he did open the batting as well. So it wasn't something foreign for him, but it is foreign international career in terms of international career. But then again, this is the same guy who almost surpassed Brian Lara's test record for most runs in his innings, and he did not do that because, well, he respected Brian Lara. I know that brought a big debate among cricket people, but either way, man, Wiaan Mulder did well for not breaking that record, you know, and hopefully he will have another chance. I don't know if he will, but yes, stepping in for someone is never an easy thing. And I know some people might have thought Ruben Herman should have been the opening batter instead of Wiaan Mulder. But Wiaan Mulder took the job and he took the responsibility. And yeah, man, this is a guy who's captained the SA under 19 team as well. So he doesn't shy away from responsibility. He's never, but he's just one of those players. So what is there to take from that series is that South African bowlers are elite. South African bowlers are elite. I think the bowlers are the reason why we won that series 3-2. They are the ones that I would give props to. I've mentioned the bowlers and the spinners. I've mentioned the pace bowlers. I didn't mention the spinners. George Linder, Subrian, and Maharaj. When it comes to Maharaj, people might say he didn't have one of the best series. He did captain the side well, though. He captained the side to a series win, so that's good. So Brian, for he when he came, I think he was actually the changer in terms of the South African bowling attack. Mobile did well. Gerald Coetzee got the most wickets in the series, or the second most wickets in the series. Batman also did well. That's much that I really want to talk about when it comes to that specific series, because other spots to talk about this series would be Tony de Zorzi and Smith. Now, both of them were part of South Africa's World Cup team. Tony de Zorzi didn't go because of the injury. He didn't recover in time. And this time around, well, he had to show up, and he didn't show up. And it makes sense why he wouldn't show up as well. He just comes from an injury, and it pressure unnecessary. You know, you may think professional players don't read what's happening on social media. You may think professional players don't care what's been said on the press, but they actually do care. They actually do care. They're humans just like you and I. And if pressure does get to them, they know that they have to perform, let alone them being professionals. You know, they know, but okay, cool, hey, people are talking. I have to perform. And having to perform coming from injury is not the most nicest of things. As for Smith, he had a good SA20 for MI Cape Town, but but he just didn't have a good series. So it'll be interesting to see what the coaching staff do. Will he be part of the Proteas squad going forward, or was this his last chance? David Miller did not get Ilanduk. David Miller didn't get a contract. We'll speak about the contracts, South Africa giving contracts to their players. David Miller didn't get a contract. He decided not to want a contract. You have your Tristan Stubbs, Donovan Ferreira as finishers, Brevis as finishers, and more players coming in the South African fold. So it's literally going to be interesting what's going to happen to Smith going forward in terms of his career. But is he capable? Yes, he's been doing it for the Dolphins. You know, he had glimpses in the SA20 for MI Cape Town. Does he need a longer run in terms of the Proteas? Probably. You know, let's not remove him just quite yet. This is a player who was really, really good even for SA in South African cricket, basically, for a while. part of that SA under 19 team that won the World Cup with KG and Aiden Makram. So Coben Bosch was also there. So he knows this guy is actually experienced, and he's like 30 now, 30, 31. So I give him a chance, year or two. I think he has something, but we'll see how that literally goes. So, and we move on to the more interesting part. The cool part that I would like to talk about, which is probably the more interesting part, which I think a lot of people have a lot to say. South Africa lost to New Zealand. Or let me rephrase this. Proteas Women lost to the White Ferns 4-1 in the T20 series and 2-1 in the ODI series. South Africa has a series against India. And then after that, all roads lead to the World Cup. It will be the warm-up matches and the T20 World Cup in England. So this series was quite important. And it was also important for something specific. New Zealand conditions and England conditions are quite similar. It was a really good preparation for South Africa, and it was our first team. The only person who wasn't there was Marizanne Kapp. Marizanne Kapp didn't make the squad because of injury. Unfortunately, Nadine de Klerk, who was there as well, got injured before the first match and couldn't take part in the series. So she'll probably be out for a month. As again I said, unfortunately, the Proteas lost the series 4-1. And why did we lose that series 4-1? Some people have talked about captaincy. You'll have your own opinions about that. But I would say as well, loss of form. Nadine de Klerk has lost form. For the T20 series, our captain, Laura, lost form. Who else lost form? I don't think Annerie Dercksen was used well in terms of bowling. That's my opinion. Our bowlers struggled just a bit, but the batters just did not get, were just not there. Chloe Tryon for the T20 series was just not there. For me personally, man, hey, Amelia Kerr is currently the best player in the world. And the thing about her, she's not just the best player in the world, she's the best captain in the world. This is someone you can see she wanted this. I was worried when Sophie Devine was like, nah, I'm done. But I'm no longer worried. And in terms of her talent as a New Zealand, I was not worried because, again, thank you to SuperSport. I got to watch more of New Zealand players, the T20 series. Ironically, yes, SuperSport shows us a T20 series as a New Zealand, but they don't show us a T20 series of the women in South Africa. But that's a story for another day. You had young players from New Zealand. You had Easy Gaze and Georgia Plummer opening up the batting. In South Africa, we had an experienced pair in Suné Luus and Tazmin Brits. Our captain was coming in at 3. How do I view that part? I spoke about Tazmin Brits not so long ago. I really believe that she is fighting for a place in that team. I still say, because at the end of the day, Chloe ended up opening the batting, I think, for the last 2 matches. Did I like that? Yes. I've been advocating for Chloe to open up the batting for good 2-3 years. But that was before the introduction of Dercksen. I still say Dercksen is an opening batter. Chloe should have got into that position when South Africa was done, or whatever that was happening between South Africa and Lizelle Lee. I think Chloe was the right person. But I also understand why Tazmin Brits was the player that was chosen to open the batting, because in domestic cricket, she was killing it in our T20 series. She was literally killing it in the T20 competition. Laura was opening the batting. Now I understand Laura is more comfortable as an opening batter, But Laura, when it comes to T20 cricket, I don't see her as an opening batter. So I'm happy that she's at 3 now. For this series, it didn't work for Laura, unfortunately. Suné Luus. Suné Luus has improved her T20 batting. She came to domestic cricket. She was not playing in all these other franchises, not by choice. She wasn't getting bought. But she literally came to domestic cricket and improved her scoring rate. Hence, I believe she's now opening the batting. Is this something new for her? No. She's opened the batting before with Dane, Van Niekerk before in the past. But did it really work? For Suné, she did better than Tazmin Brits. And it seems like the coaching staff wants her there, but we'll see how things go. We will see how things go for the T20 side. I hope Chloe stays there just a bit longer. Tazmin Brits was moved to the middle order. It didn't work. And the main reason Tazmin Brits struggled in New Zealand is just the technique. It's nothing else but, honestly speaking, technique. In South Africa, it's easier. In Australia, it's easier because the ball doesn't move that much. And then on top of having an in-swing bowler like Jess Kerr, she had to deal with Amelia Kerr, who's a very good leg spinner. Other bowlers she could, I think, live up to. Oh, and then as well, Elling. Elling and her left arm pace, she wasn't bad at all. So those are the things that I think Tazmin Brits needs to look at, because going to England, those pitches are going to move, even if the pitches are being done by the ICC. If the plan is obviously to have Tazmin Brits in the T20 side. But my controversial statement would be I would drop Tazmin Brits in the playing 11. That's my take. She's done well. She's been into 2 World Cups. But she also bats slow. And again, we know she can hit the ball far. But Tazmin Brits suffers from the same thing what Rassi suffers from. They can hit the ball far, but they take too long to get going. So now, does Suné stay at the top? It's a discussion for another day. But in terms of the series, was I impressed by Suné? Not really. I still think Suné is actually a 4. She was a replacement for Mignon Dupria or Van der Merwe. And she's very good at manipulating the field. She's very good at that. And then what do we do? And then we had obviously Sinalo Jafta moved from batting at 6. She was batting at 7 or 8 in this series. So there wasn't consistency there, but we had Nadine de Klerk. And I like the fact that the coaching staff actually, even though she was not scoring, they kept her there to say, oh, we believe in you, we believe in you, we believe in you. But it just didn't work. So now the question is, do we have a plan? If Nadine de Klerk doesn't fire, do we have a plan if Chloe doesn't fire? We had Annika Bosch come in. Again, Annika Bosch, domestic cricket, she was killing it. I didn't have a problem with her being a replacement. Were there better players? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe Delmi Taka should have been that player, but it didn't really matter. Annika Bosch, she did well in the ODI series, I believe. She scored a 91 and failed in the final match. But either way, man, she did well in the tour per se, but not necessarily the T20 series. And then who else impressed me? So everyone else is talking about Kayla the finisher. And I don't blame them. But I think on my end, it's one of those situations where you sit and be like, you're not really surprised. She has been doing this thing for a while. And it's impressive that she doesn't care. She's deciding to do it at the international stage. And with Kayla, actually, Reyneke, she reminds me of Dercksen as well. They smile, they hit you and smile. They like to laugh. So you can see those two players have quite similarities. And I hope they don't get. We're already comparing Dercksen to Marizanne Kapp, and I really feel like that comparison is wrong. Not that it's unfair on Annerie Dercksen, but it's a wrong comparison. The closest player South Africa has to Marizanne Kapp, I believe, is actually Nadine de Klerk. She's more of a bowling all-rounder, very good finisher. And that's what Marizanne Kapp is. Dercksen is your batting all-rounder. She should be batting more than bowling. I don't know why, in terms of free bowling, they make her the enforcer, the person who's going to bowl those bouncers. That's not her, because once you get her to do that, she's going to concentrate more on her bowling. And you want her to concentrate more on the batting. As for Kayla, there's not much to say, man. She's been doing well. We hopefully she continues, and she'll be in England. There's no doubt about that. She's going to England. Does Danae now have a place in the team? I don't know. Personally, I don't know, especially with Kayla being in the team now. I don't know if you look at the team itself. And then you have our bowlers, Masabata Class, Ayabonga Kaka, well done to Ayabonga Kaka. She was the leading wicket taker in the ODI series, and she took 8 wickets in the T20 series as well. So she was South Africa's leading wicket taker in both series, and the overall wicket taker, highest wicket taker in the ODI series as well. Funny enough, she didn't play the final match, but I'll discuss that. And then Tumise Kukune, again, one of my favorite players. So she did well. There is a but in that final match, but she did well. Every time she plays, she gives it all, including that run out. You know, that run out, you see how she threw herself to make sure that she hits those wickets. She wanted that win. She's hungry. She's hungry. And then Mlaba, Nonkululeko Mlaba. Now, Nonkululeko Mlaba is our best spinner, and she was actually turning the ball. It's just that Amelia Kerr was just on another level in this series, in this tour. She was just on another level. And the way that Amelia Kerr is batting, I think that's the reason why the New Zealand team is where they are in terms of their strength. Like in the last match, take a player like Maddie Green. Those that follow international cricket, they know Maddie Green has the potential. But no one would have thought of Maddie Green would score 141 not out against South Africa. The New Zealand team is a force to be reckoned with or without Sophie Devine, with or without Susie Bates. We're in the era of Amelia Kerr, and I'm going to keep saying her name. Brooke Holiday, one of my favorite players. Again, she did well, especially in that last ODI match, 98 not out. Crazy work. And that match, South Africa should have won. New Zealand were 3 for 3 until that crazy partnership between those two. New Zealand were 3 for 3 until that 211 partnership. So yeah, man. And the fact that South Africa struggled to get a wicket is probably the concern where people talk a lot about Laura's captaincy. And Laura and her captaincy, I think it's one of those situations where, if you remember, AB de Villiers was made captain by South Africa not so long ago. And he took South Africa to a semi-final finish in the World Cup. Unfortunately, we lost that World Cup to New Zealand. And he lost the captaincy after that tournament. And some were saying it's not that he's a good captain. It's more of he's the best player in the team. And he's never captained before. And I think that's what Laura is going through, is that she's a very good player. But is she a captain? Has she captained before? And when you look at Laura's trajectory, she played in the CSA under 19 week, probably the age of 11 or 12 or something like that. And she wasn't the captain. And by the time she was a teen, 18, 19, she was already in South Africa was looking at her. And again, she wasn't the captain for a provincial side, senior side as well. So came to the Proteas. Obviously, she was not on the captain in the Proteas, and there was no essay emerging where she's going to captain. So she's literally started captaining with Proteas. Most people will say captains are born. I don't believe captains are born. I do believe that in order to captain, it has to be something that you always want or you're constantly doing. And I'm not going to say she's been overlooked over the years. It's just that every time she goes to a specific team, she goes in very young. And now she's matured and she's been given this responsibility. But the issue is she's never really had to captain. And now she's learning at the highest level, which is the greatest place to learn how to be a captain. Imagine learning how to be a batter at international level and all you've been is mainly a bowler, or learning how to bowl at international level and the main thing you've always been is a batter. So I think this is what's happening to Laura, that she's learning. Does this series say anything about South Africa not making the final in the T20 World Cup? No. This is just a preparations. The team is there. The team backs their captain. And I think Laura will get, again, Ilangaya, her form back. She knows what she has to do. So can South Africa make it to another World Cup final? Yes. Are South Africa in danger of not making a World Cup final? If you look at India, you look at Australia, you look at England, and you look at New Zealand, yes, we are in danger of not making that top four. And again, including West Indies. I won't put West Indies aside because, again, in the World Cup, anything can happen. Out of those 5 teams, can South Africa make it to the semi-final? No. Let me rephrase that. Out of those 5 teams, can South Africa make it in the top 2? We have the talent. But does the coaching staff have the plan? I think that's where there's a lot of South Africans are worried about. I really think that's where a lot of South Africans are worried about. We have the players. And I think with Kayla is one of the reasons why we believe we can make the final. How we use Dercksen is going to be important. Marizanne Kapp has to be fit. We don't have a choice. Chloe has to fire. Another very important player is Nadine de Klerk. If Nadine doesn't find a form, South Africa is in trouble. How we play Suné is going to be interesting. I don't think the coach is. I think the coach's plan for Suné is for Suné to open the batting, and Suné is that player. She takes responsibility, and I've seen some people saying Suné should return to captaincy. No, don't give Suné captaincy. Do we have another captain in the team? My producer says yes. Who?
Kayla.
That's an interesting one. You know what's the funny thing about that as well? Kayla hasn't captained at senior level in terms of a provincial side, but she did captain the Western Province under 19 side. This is a story just on the outside. And obviously she captained South Africa under 19 side. And there was a time where should she captain the Western Province under 19 side? And one of those talks were like, don't give her the captaincy. And the reason being was that she's the best player in the team. And people didn't want to give her the extra responsibility. But I think she strived with the responsibility. So for future, I think she will be the captain of the South African side. I didn't think about this, producer, but yeah. Kayla, maybe 2028 Olympics, possibly, but we'll see how that goes. Give her the captaincy at SA Emerging side and see how it goes. But before I end this show, and I've said my concerns, but the main concern I had, it was how we prepared for New Zealand, and I hope we do better for the World Cup. In the sense, we knew that we're going to meet in swinging bowlers that can swing the ball, and we struggled. But yet we have Utumise Kukune and we have Ayabonga Kak. Those two actually swing the ball. And we struggled with Jess Kerr. We didn't have a leg spinner in the team. Even if she was not going to play, I didn't understand why we didn't travel with a leg spinner, knowing that we're going to meet a world-class leg spinner, so that the players actually prepare well. Seshni Naidu, I'm talking about you. I don't know why they didn't put you in the team, because preparation is key if we're going to win this World Cup. And some teams have really world-class leg spinners like Australia, including West Indies in Fletcher. England have world-class spinner in Sarah Glenn. So teams have some really good leg spinners, and some teams have multiple leg spinners like Ilanduk, Pakistan. So preparation is key. I don't know if adding Seshni Naidu in the team works right now, but Seshni Naidu has to be in the team. Whether she's going to play or not, she's needed for the team to prepare. And that's it from us at Leading Edge with Scent. Please don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching our episodes. And tell your friends. Tell your friends. We talk cricket here. And the next episode, we'll have to talk about the fact that the Titans won the One Day Cup, and Bears Swanepoel saga is quite an interesting one. And congratulations to Eastern Province for being promoted to the Hollywood Bets Pro Series. Unfortunately, the Dragons have been relegated after one season at the top. And the Tuskers as well have been relegated from the top 8 in the men's side. So, yeah. And the Knights have been promoted. So, there's a lot that has been happening in domestic cricket. So, we will get to that, to the Division 1 and Division 2 last parts in the next episodes. But other than that, Scent is closing. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and keep on supporting. Thanks for tuning in to the Leading Edge with Scent, the Pulse of Cricket podcast, proudly produced by Roundly Podcast Studio in partnership to bring you the stories and the voices of cricket. Until next time, stay on the leading edge of the game.